Thank you for coming by, Tory Magoo 44. I'm going to finish this video I started yesterday on the Scientology network and how I view it. I have to say, it looks really snazzy. It's very, very professionally done. I don't believe it's Scientologists alone who are doing it. I'm pretty sure they've probably hired some people to work with them on it. But however they're doing it, what I was saying before, I was getting into Richard Tenney. This was in the late 70s, 1979. We had moved to Clearwater, Florida. And Richard Tenney called me into his office. Back in 79, like now Clearwater's kind of dead except for the Scientologists being there and a few ex-Scientologists. But back then, it was just mobbed with people. The Clearwater was up in arms. They were furious that Scientology was taking over their downtown, right? And so they had already run a program on the mayor, Gabe Gazaris, which was awful. They planted an attorney in his office, excuse me, who would feed information to Scientology, and they would run this program against Gabe. And it was awful, and I didn't know about it at the time at all, which you never do when you're in. But then once you get out, you find out, and it's like, oh, I met Gabe. It was awful. But anyway, that's what happened with Gabe. Then Richard Tenney was the city commissioner, and he decided, oh, I'll run for mayor. And Scientology did not want him as mayor because his program was Save Sparkling Clearwater, Stamp Out Scientology. So Milt Wolf called me and he said, look, you need to handle this. And I said, me? I'm Tory. What am I going to do? And he gave me the backstory on it, which I've already told it before on my YouTube site. But point being, now they want me to handle it. So I'm me. I'm not going to go out and cut somebody's knees off or something like that. I'm not that kind of person. So I just went out and started talking to people and saying, I went to this older woman. She had an American flag and a sign against Scientology. And I said, look, what do you have against Scientology? I mean, I couldn't even imagine it. I was a real, true believer, right? So I'm like, what could you have against Scientology? And she was like, back, and said this stuff. And my son started crying. And I said, look, this is what's actually happening. You just made my son start crying. I'm pretty sure you're a grandmother. So you should put down your signs and go home. And she did. She left. So then I just kind of went from person to person. It took a while. I started going to meetings and confronting Richard Tenney at meetings. And, he started doing some creepy stuff. And people were able to see that side of him. And anyway, long story short, I realized, wait a minute. They think we're just people with long fangs. We need to have a party and just let everybody get together and talk. So we did, and the result of that was I don't know if the result of the party was that, but the result of all of this program, and God knows what they did on the back end of things legally. But anyway, he was voted out of office. So I went from nothing to now call Tory. She can handle anything. And they did. They called me for about 20 years, and I would go do all kinds of stuff. And I have a lot of stories about things that I did. Not necessarily like really creepy things. I did meet some people that did do creepy things. And to me, it was like, how could you do that? Where they went and, I don't know what they did, but they would do stuff, and I would just say, I can't imagine someone doing that. And they were on the opposite side going, I can. I love to do that kind of thing. So they find out what you're good at, right? And then they hone in on that and say, we need you to do that. If, for me, I'm good at talking with people, so get her out there talking with the people. And so that began my thing with the Office of Special Affairs. But now, roll forward, now they've got the Scientology network, which I explained in my earlier video. They don't have missions anymore. Not really. They may have a couple of them, but they're nothing like what they used to have, where it was like massive missions. The missions would get the people in. The people would go to a Class 5 org, which was just staff. And then from there, they would go into the C organization orgs. Now, me, Tory, read Dianetics in Chicago and hitchhiked from Chicago in 1969 to the American St. Hill, which is C organization. So I just went, boom, I never was at a mission. So it's not, that wasn't part of my experience was missions. But I did see a lot of people come in through missions, and now they don't have that. So Now, I think with the Scientology network, they're trying to. But it's interesting. I've been talking in these two videos about their abuses, right? And let's just look at Richard Tenney alone, where they want me to get rid of Richard Tenney. I just looked at one of their videos on YouTube, and they're talking about justice, loyalty, honesty, compassion, benevolence, respect, friendliness, good sportsmanship. I mean, and integrity. Are you kidding me? Now, this is an organization that has done more creepy things, just like this thing to Richard Tenney that they got me to do. I didn't do any real nasty stuff, but it certainly wasn't those things. The intention was to get him out of office, and we did. Gabe Gazaris was a really creepy thing, and they did get rid of him as the mayor. They do very creepy things that are actually the opposite of these things. The very fact that they will cut off families from each other, not allow them to talk to each other. If they do, they're going to get declared suppressive and lose all their friends and family. That alone, just as that, violates all those words that I just said. Compassion, friendliness, good sportsmanship, compassion, justice, loyalty. I mean, come on, Scientology. This is going to go on and on and on. And for anybody who wants to speak out about Scientology, if you want to make a video with me, just send me a little private message or call me. My phone number's up on the internet. I'm happy to interview you here. You can come on over and we'll do a little video. Because you know what, Scientology? Game on. You want to talk about good sportsmanship? I know good sportsmanship. My father's in the Football Hall of Fame, the American Football Hall of Fame. And I grew up with a very, very good sportsman. And I know how to play sports. You don't. You are way out of your league, David Miscavige. And more is coming your way. That's all I can say. Tick tock, time is on our side. All right, so there you go. Peace out. I love you guys. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye.